How's everyone doing? You didn't even put the music on, Steve. Welcome. It's Friday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and today we have a really interesting discussion on several things, which we'll get into. But just want to first tell you guys, if there's anything that I say, it's not meant to diagnose you or replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before taking any of my advice. Okay? Let's go to Maria. She's from New York. She's been standing by. Maria, are you there? You had a good question.
I wanted to thank you, Dr. Berg, for saving my baby's life.
Wow.
I was the first call on the last Friday of this past September about my hyperemesis. You recommended vodka, collinsonia root, and other supplements. I ordered the same day, and that night I started experiencing cramping and heavy bleeding. You always say in your videos that listen to your body, and I believe my body was telling me that if I don't get the nutrients in needed, I won't be able to continue growing this baby. And so within 2 days of taking vodka and the collinsonia root, my headaches and vomiting stopped completely, and I was able to nourish myself. And the heavy bleeding and the cramping stopped within 2 weeks.
Wow. That's incredible.
Now, thank you. After a month, I stopped taking the vodka because it would just come right back up. And currently, I'm 38 weeks pregnant, and my blood work shows that I have anemia. It's around 70 micrograms per deciliter. Low ferritin, my legs are swollen. I have severe spider veins, and I have a cramp in my leg that hasn't left me since 12 a.m. My hair has fallen out and significantly and has thinned out. As of yesterday, I started taking iron and iodine. My question is, what steps do you recommend after pregnancy to heal myself? What testing in terms of hormones, vitamins, minerals, etc., or should I just treat this as a cirrhosis disorder, like as one of your videos suggested? And I'm planning on breastfeeding.
Just for those people that are watching, that so she has some pretty severe morning sickness, and so we recommended Tutka, which is it's a type of bile that helps the flow of bile through the liver, decongest the liver. It's really good for cirrhosis. So she took that. She started feeling better. One big thing that typically what you want to do for morning sickness is B6. That should actually push the fluid out of your ankles. So that's an important one. The main thing now is you want to be taking all the basic nutrients. So the trace minerals for sure. And then you want to take food-based multivitamin. You want to take the cod liver oil. You want to take, I would try to get your vitamin C from the vegetables. As far as your iron goes, that's going to come from animal meats, probably red meat, things like that. I think that would be very important. Vitamin D is going to be key. And then a good omega-3, which you can get from the cod liver oil, because that's going to help. But as far as to heal your body, you know, it's nothing special other than what I've been talking about for a long time, which is, you know, healthy keto. The diets are going to be the key, intermittent fasting, and trying to keep your stress as low as possible. But if you have a history of cirrhosis, you know, that's a weakness that's going to take some time to heal as much as you can. But especially with the absorption, you're not going to have the absorption that you normally would have of nutrients. So you'll probably have to take a little bit more, which is fine, especially the fat-soluble vitamins. So that's what I would do. And watch all my videos on the pregnancy. Okay, and then also, you definitely need to breastfeed your child as long as you can. All right, thanks, Maria. And let's go to Weston from Tennessee.
Hey, Dr. Berg. I'm on healthy keto, and I have oral thrush, and I was prescribed fluconazole.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, but it has serious side effects. Like I'm pretty scared to finish taking it. Is there a way to kill this without having to take this?
Yeah, good question.
It's mostly on the back of the tongue.
Yeah. Well, that microbe tends to live on carbs and sugar and milk sugar, so as long as you're avoiding all sugars, that's going to be a really good thing. Keep your carbs real low, but especially the dairy, because that lactose in the dairy, I would avoid all dairy for sure. The other thing you could do is take a natural antibiotic, and there's two that I really like. One is oregano oil, and you can even put some of that on the tongue. It's pretty potent. And garlic. Those two guys will take care of a lot of fungus and yeast and mold and things like that that tend to grow in the body. The other thing that you want to make sure you have enough of is zinc. Zinc is also important as well. But that's what I would do. I think that should help you. Realize though, a lot of times when people have certain white tongue, candida, or whatever on their tongue, they start to really start sterilizing their mouth, right? They start taking mouthwashes and all these different solvents, and maybe they're taking alcohol type based mouthwashes. That destroys all the good bacteria as well. So you want to take something very, very natural, and it wouldn't hurt to take a really good non-dairy probiotic, and then also consume a good amount of the natural pre and probiotics like kimchi, sauerkraut, things like that. Very important. All right, good. All right, Steve.
Good morning, world. And of course, as always, we want to kick off by saying hello to everybody. And they are watching and listening from, and this is a beautiful place in Mexico, Cabo San Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
The Philippines, Cyprus, Australia, Jamaica, UK, Canada, Sweden, Belize, Israel, France, Denmark, Cameroon. Very exotic. Hong Kong, Belgium, Mexico, Brazil, India, Pakistan, Egypt, Morocco, Tanzania, the Czech Republic. Thank you for checking in, Czech Republic, pardon the pun. Germany, Trinidad, Tobago, Portugal, South Africa, wow, Lebanon, Iceland, the Netherlands, and all across these United States, really North and South America. Just everyone's online to hear your great wisdom, Doc. And speaking of wisdom, why don't we kick it off with the first question?
All right.
Okay, and the question states, or asks, what food is most sprayed with glyphosate?
Glyphosate. That is that's Roundup. That's actually, that's an herbicide. Kills weeds, a weed killer.
Yum.
So that's what, GMO foods are glyphosate resistant, Roundup resistant. So you can then spray them. So what's the top food out of all the foods that are sprayed the most? It's a specific food.
Come on, audience, I'm rooting on you, rooting for you.
So you mentioned Cabo San Lucas. Gosh, I remember many years ago I went there, and we had this hotel that had the thinnest walls. They're like paper thin, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, someone was snoring up above, and it was so loud, I actually eventually got up, walking the door, knocking on the door, and there was the TV on, and didn't wake up, and it was an all night, one of those things where like it starts building up and you start getting more into it, and all of a sudden now you're not going to be able to sleep at all the whole night. So
you could have recommended him a treatment. It's too bad he didn't wake up.
I was ready to walk in the door, and I didn't even, it was locked, or else I would have just walked in there and woke him up, but he was out. All right, good. So let's go to Derek from New York. Derek, how you been doing?
Good, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Great.
So I got a full plate. I'm going to get right into it. Was diagnosed with COVID. I can't take any of these medications over the counter. I have a cough for that, like Robitussin and things like that, because I have a non-alcoholic fatty liver.
Oh, okay.
And your video that you were just posting on Instagram, the nine different things that your feet and your legs can tell you about your liver.
Yeah.
I basically have all of those now. I didn't have all of them, but a few of them came from taking these medications within these past 2 weeks for the COVID.
Okay.
So my liver is really, my liver, gut, I've had psoriasis for about a year now. So I need basically something to get rid of this COVID cough.
Mm-hmm.
And also, my mom is in the hospital too. I gave her COVID. When she comes back, should I leave the house? Would that be a good idea? And basically, what do I do to restore my liver and gut and just entire GI tract?
I think there's some great things you can do, Derek. First thing is the two main things. You need a lot of vitamin D and a lot of zinc right now to help your immune system. I would go to my site, and actually I think I even have a link on pretty much all my videos. You should take my immune course so you can learn all about the immune system and what you can do to bulletproof yourself, and that will handle that. I will be doing more videos on that as well. But as far as your gut issues and your liver, probably the most important nutrient for a fatty liver would be choline, and you can take a good amount of it. That will strip off the fat off your liver. It acts like a bile salt. In fact, bile salts have choline in it, so you can also take bile salts. You want to get on a very low carb and diet and just start to really get this fat off the liver, and it will come off. The other thing that's important for any type of liver issue, especially fatty or cirrhosis, would be bitter vegetables. Anything with bitterness is what you need to consume, like all the cruciferous, in large quantities. You want to make sure you don't do too much protein. But as far as your immune system goes, you need to beef up, no pun intended, on your zinc and your vitamin D. And, I don't know all the details of what's going on over there, but those are the things that I would focus on immediately, okay? Thanks, Derek. All right. Steve, what do we got as far as an answer here?
All right. So we asked, what food is sprayed most with glyphosate, the GMO junk? And the audience says most of them, 65% soy, 15% say potatoes, 15% say oranges or citrus, and finally 5% claim that coffee is blasted with the stuff.
These are all things that I would have said unless I really looked this up, and it's actually almonds. Almonds are at the top of the list.
Now, what would attack almonds that they have to do that? That's interesting.
See, what happens is GMO foods are resistant to Roundup, right, of glyphosate. And so if corn or soy or canola or cottonseed is resistant, they can spray that plant and the plant doesn't die because it's resistant. So they are spraying it more and more and more. And then because these other plants are becoming resistant too. So you get a lot. But apparently almonds are at the top of the list. And this is a surprising thing, especially people on keto, and they consume a lot of almond flour and almonds. That's not organic. So make sure that your nuts, your nut flours are always organic. Is that going to guarantee? No, but it's going to definitely reduce it by a significant amount. But yeah, so I'll do more video. I'll do another video on more details on that. Let's go to Rose. Hey, Rose, you're from New York as well.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Berg, and belated happy birthday.
Hey, thanks.
I'm trying to eat healthy and trying to get the benefits of organ meat, but I can't stomach the actual organ, like eating it in my food. So if I do take the desiccated organ meat supplements, when is a good time to take it? Like, is it, during the day when I'm like fasting, or is it with meals?
Good question. I think I would take it with meals if I were you, because you are getting, if it's a whole desiccated, you are getting protein and things like that. Probably not in the quantity, but I would recommend probably at food. Just Also make sure it's grass-fed. The other point I was going to bring up, this is what I do too, and I don't like organ meats. I kind of wish I did. But I would, on a regular basis, buy U.S. Wellness Meats. They have this burger that's 10% heart extract, and it has serious amounts of coenzyme Q10 because I just feel so much better when I take that. I feel stronger. I have more endurance. So that's one thing. And they also have they have a little hamburger with liver and kidney, which is a little bit too high, but it's doable. I will do that, but the one with the heart, you don't even taste it. So that's a way to camouflage it. Yeah, so I'm glad that you're eating. Organ meats have the absolute most nutrients of any food, and I've done a video on that as well. Greta, you're from Delaware. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my question.
Sure.
I'm calling because I was feeling, kind of down and anxious. I think especially with, living during the pandemic, and so I started taking D3 and K2 about 6 months ago. I was taking it regularly, and after taking it for several months, I noticed some changes to my skin, especially on my face, and it seemed that my face was like getting more red and almost changing texture. Like it didn't look as smooth, and it looked maybe more leathery, let's say, or something like that. And I wasn't sure if I was taking too much. I was taking 5,000 IUs of D3 and 100 mcg of K2.
Mm-hmm.
But so I stopped taking it, but now I don't feel as good. I was feeling really good when I was taking it.
Right.
So I'm...
Yeah. I don't know what brand and what was in there. There could have been something, that was in there. In order for K2 and D3 to work effectively, and I'm not biased of my product, of course, but you want to also make sure that there's other things that you take with it or in it. That would be magnesium and B6. Those two actually really help the function of that. I don't know if that is creating the problem. Could be something else. But typically, if you have a reaction like a skin issue, there could be some other ingredient that could be irritating your skin. Or usually, if your skin is leather, I would take more of an omega-3 fatty acid because the essential fatty acids make the skin nice and soft. So it just means you need more healthy fats. Like olive oil would be a good one as well. Try those things and let me know if that works.
Okay, Doc, I'm going to butt in on behalf of our wonderful social media folks, and why don't we kick it off with Jose. His wife takes insulin, however much. How can she get her poor old pancreas working correctly again? Is there such a remedy for things?
Well, she's obviously, I'm guessing, type 1 diabetic. I mean, sometimes...
I think he said T1.
Type 1, yeah.
Oh,
T1.
yeah, T1. I'm sorry. That's
okay, type 1.
Yes.
Taking insulin, how do you get your pancreas? I've done videos on that. You want to reduce your carbs as much as possible to decrease the need for insulin. Because that way, when you take less of it, your health will improve. More insulin is not better. It has other complications. So how do you help support the beta cells? Well, there's a lot. There's a whole seminar on that. One thing is vitamin B1 is crucial. Zinc, D3, all these things are really key. But I would really start with the diet. Make sure your carbs are really low. Do intermittent fasting. It can actually help restore things. And then the need for that insulin will go down, and it'll increase your survival.
Now, question for type 1 diabetics, does it mean that they have their pancreas produces no insulin or just lower or all of the above?
Right. Apparently it's no insulin, so they need it. They're dependent on it. But there is situations where you have gradients. Like even in type 2, there's been people who are type 2, and then over time, they now require insulin. Why is that? Because the beta cell starts going down in production to the point where now they have to take insulin. because that beta cell is not working anymore. And that's a whole different discussion.
All right, we better go to Facebook so we keep things even. Joan, how can I reassure my doctor that my high triglycerides will decrease on keto? So a doubtful doctor.
Well, the triglycerides should not be going up unless your carbs are up. So make sure you're not doing sort of keto, you're doing it hardcore, and that should work. The triglycerides also are used for energy too. So let's say you're consuming all these fats, but you're not exercising to burn those off. That could be one reason why they're a little bit higher. So if you maybe not add any fat to the meal, just eat the fat that normally comes with the meal, and you exercise, and you cut your carbs down, that should take care of it. The best thing to do would be to learn as much as you can about these triglycerides, and also watch my videos on the 2 types of LDL, the good and bad, and also get an advanced lipid profile. That will give you way more data, and you can watch the video that I did on that regarding my wife Karen. She had very high amounts of cholesterol and LDL, and I go through the whole thing. So, yeah, so as far as convincing the doctor, you're going to have to understand it first to be able to even talk about it.
By the way, I thought you might go to Gary at County Kildare, Ireland, just because it's such a I shouldn't say hilarious, but in the British Isles and the UK, they have all these like hobbit-sounding towns. County Kildare just strikes me as being very interesting, and Gary lives there apparently.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly.
Oh, great. Look, I have a quick question for you. In 2016, I had a lessen fundoplication operation performed, and all going well. It was great. And last year, I had another scan. I got some symptoms back. And I've also been diagnosed with postprandial hypoglycemia. And I wanted to know if there's a link between the two and if I can control it with my diet in any way.
Now, I missed the first diagnosis you said. What was the first one you said?
I had a lessen fundoplication operation.
What?
It's quite a mouthful. I had reflux, very bad acid reflux. And in Ireland here, I had an operation which basically closed my valve where my sphincter is, just to tighten it slightly to stop the acid coming back up again.
Wow.
And but I had that symptoms all my life, and I never done anything about it. And similarly with the hypoglycemia, I had the symptoms all my life, and only into my 40s I decided to go and sort it out. And I don't know if find out if there's a link between the two illnesses, and if I can control it with a diet of some sort.
You know, I think you can. I really do. I think you should cut your carbs down, because the valves on the top, in the top part of the stomach and the bottom part of the stomach, that keep the food from regurgitating up into the esophagus and keep the food from going down too far down into the small intestine when it doesn't need to go down there. They're controlled by the part of the nervous system called the autonomic nervous system, which is highly influenced by blood sugars. And I think you said you have a hypoglycemia situation, which what that means is you have too much insulin, and you just need to bring that thing down. And how do you do that? Healthy keto and intermittent fasting. I think that will actually help you so much that you'll feel much better. A lot of your symptoms will be diminished. And then also, don't forget to take something like betaine hydrochloride, because that also really helps the stomach to keep that valve nice and tight at the top. Even though you had surgery, I think the problem might still be there. So you want to take enough acids like betaine hydrochloride, apple cider vinegar with some water, unless you have an ulcer. So do that, but definitely get on the right program, because I think that's what you're missing.
Okay, let's see how Gary does with our next question.
Yeah.
From his great little town, what has more saturated fat, lard or coconut oil? Interesting question. What does the world say?
Yes. Do you have any social media questions for me, Steve?
I sure do. Thanks. Let's see. Terry's continuing to tabulate them. Okay, Salma from Facebook wants to know the best treatment for atopic dermatitis. Atopic dermatitis.
Well, we have inflammation of the skin. Usually that has to do with something called, let me think, what was that again? Diet. And so you want to get on a low carb, the same thing, and also avoid dairy. You want to do fasting. Fasting will make your inflammation in your skin just go bye-bye really quick. You know, versus telling you to take something topically to put on the skin, that usually does not work. It's all an internal problem. You want to get to the root of it. So before you start treating the symptom, let's get the eating back. Steve, I think the biggest missing element in healthcare is the basic diet is not emphasized. It's not used in the equation of a doctor evaluating you. So they might evaluate you, but they don't look at this significant piece of the puzzle. So it's like kind of like diagnosing your car, but not really looking at the engine. Like you're not going to come up with the right information. You're not going to be able to find the real thing. And then you get the wrong diagnosis, or you get an incomplete diagnosis, and you get put on a drug, which you don't seem to ever come off of. So,
well, as they say, you are what you eat. I mean, that no one can dispute that. Quit eating for, let's say, 6 months and you'll be a pile of ash. So.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So let's see. Let's go to, let me just see who's next. Christina from Florida.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I've started the intermittent fasting and the keto, and I did the body type quiz, and it said I'm a thyroid body type, but I also have symptoms of the ovary and the adrenal body type.
Right.
So I was just wondering, I've been eating trying to eat between 7 and 8 cups of vegetables, but I'm still unsure about the protein and how much fat I should be consuming on keto.
Well,
I did a test strip.
Funny you asked
I
that.
did the urine. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I did the urine test strip, and it says I'm moderate in ketosis, but I want to get deeper into it.
Okay. So in the book, what you do in the very beginning is everyone kind of just starts healthy keto and intermittent fasting. It's all the same program, and then after a couple weeks, if things aren't going as fast as you would like them, then you tweak them based on your body type. And apparently, you have a lot of different things going on. And there's a formula in my book that I talk about. And it's very, very difficult to know exactly, are you more this or more that? What you need to realize is that all these body types, all these, like the thyroid, the ovary, even liver, they're all connected. They're on a chain. So in other words, the endocrine system is like one system on a chain. So when one goes down, they all tend to go down. There's no way you can have a hypothyroid without having some other problem to the other parts of the body. So what I would do, if I were you, is I would try some recommendations on one body type and see how you do. And you may be successful, and that'll be good. And then you can go to the next one. But they're minor tweaks, and I have a lot of videos on what to do. They're minor tweaks in adjusting different things. Like as far as the amount of protein goes, I mean, if you stay within the range of 3 to 6 to 7 ounces of protein per meal, I mean, you're gonna be pretty fine. It's not going to be that much significant if you go, I need less or I need more. The main thing is the carbs. And as far as the fat goes, if you don't have enough, that can be a problem. If you have too much, it could be more bloating. But I think what you're wanting is faster results, in which case, what I would do is I would just fast longer, and I would try to bring your carbs down to about 10 grams or less per day. All right, Steve.
All right, well, guess what? We've got some answers. What has more saturated fat, lard or coconut oil? And our audience says coconut oil, 75% of them, and 25% are sticking to lard. Who's right?
Yeah, coconut oil has 90% saturated fat and lard has only 40% saturated fat, with most of the other fat is monounsaturated, which is what olive oil has. So isn't that interesting?
Counterintuitive. I mean, coconut oil sounds so healthy.
Hey, listen, no, it's not that saturated fat is bad at all. In fact, they recently said, okay, guys, we made a mistake. Well, they didn't say that. They said you could now, there's no relationship or association between consuming more saturated fats and heart disease, okay? So the thing is, like, we've been told that for I don't know how many years, and now it's all based on a piece of false information. So now we're supposed to go back to it, like people are still afraid of it. So unfortunately, there are things, and this might be hard to believe, Steve, that may not be 100% truthful out there relating to health. So you have to really learn from people that really evaluate the stuff objectively, and there's no kind of,
Yeah, well, I was drinking the Kool-Aid too, because I just claimed that coconut oil now is bad just because of what's been fed me, pardon the pun.
Hey, in college, you should have saw me in college. I was taking paper towel and matting down my bacon, to get all that extra grease out of there, because, I didn't want to die of a heart attack, clogged arteries, as I was eating huge bowls of pasta and pizza and Doritos.
All right, well, listen, why don't we go back to YouTube real quick, and Sarvesh, if I've said that right, I hope, and I think I know the answer. He wants to know if he can use sugarcane water to remedy his fatty liver.
No, I wouldn't do that. That probably wouldn't be the best thing in the world. But I will say sugar cane has vitamins, so you'll have less collateral damage, but I think there's better ways to deal with the liver, and I would recommend choline. Let's go to Emily from Connecticut.
Morning, Dr. Berg.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Great.
Hi. I'm 2+ years into keto healthy. I do OMAD. However, I'm postmenopausal. I did call before, and I'm taking your electrolyte and your trace mineral. My question is, I do have menopausal palpitation at times, which I hate, and I was taking minerals. I want to know if I need to take extra minerals. Sorry, not minerals, not magnesium, sorry. If I need to take extra magnesium with the electrolyte that I'm taking and the trace mineral.
Okay, so are you taking, you said you had palpitations, right?
Yeah, I did every heart test possible. That my heart is, they tell me, textbook perfect. So it's only when I get those hot flashes at times, sometimes I would get those palpitations.
Okay, so it kind of magnifies some imbalances. So, I have done several videos on palpitations, and yes, you need a good amount of minerals. So if you're taking my electrolytes, you should be getting enough of those minerals. You really should. So it could be some other reason. Another common reason for palpitations is being around too many electrical fields like EMF, and I did a video on that as well, like your computer, your laptop, the devices around your bed, especially if you have your cell phone by your bed. Like, try to really limit that stuff, because it really affects the heart, and it can create all sorts of heart arrhythmias. The other thing is that, believe it or not, exercising too intensely of a sustained nature, especially if you're a biker, the heart actually can enlarge and throw off the natural pacemakers, and you can start developing atrial fib just from exercising too much. Not that I'm saying you're doing that. The other thing that you may want to look at is vitamin B1 from nutritional yeast. You might actually be more successful with your palpitations with that, because B1 deficiencies can really affect the nerve connection to the cardiovascular system big time. So I think that might be your best bet, especially if you started keto. You need more B1, and a lot of people are deficient in that, so try that.
Okay, and how about our next quiz question? And it is, what are you lacking? This is interesting with split nails. If you have split nails, what's going on with you?
Right. Exactly. That's a good question there, Steve. You want to give me a social media question?
I'd love to. In fact, Robin with on Facebook, why does apple cider vinegar dry out my nasal passages? Poor thing. Let's help Robin.
Well, you're dealing with an acetic acid, and an acid could irritate different things, so just don't put it in your nose. No, I'm just kidding. You know, your environment, even your house, coming out of the winter, it could be very, very dry. A lot of people are getting like cracks in their nasal passages from that. I don't necessarily think it's the apple cider vinegar. It's not known to create cracking. You can put some small amount of coconut oil just to kind of soften it up, but it could be your humidity. You need to actually increase or make some adjustments in your house to make it more humid, and I think that would be good, especially if things are drying out, if your house is too adjusted improperly. So I don't think it's apple cider vinegar. That's my opinion, but it could be. But I've never heard that before in my life, so that's a new one.
Well, I tell you what, this is interesting. Speaking of that, John on YouTube, thank you, said he quit sugar and carbs some months ago, and he no longer has GERD or acid reflux. Is that an interesting phenomenon?
Well, that's there's so many things that will clear up when you go on keto and you stop snacking so frequently, and digestion is, I mean, your whole digestive tract is going to improve. So the best thing to do if you're new at this is go ahead and try it out and see for yourself. But it's not surprising, because the average person is like doing like 6 meals. They're trying to take all these snacks, and they never get a chance to let the system, clear out. So they're cramming all this food down this pipe that kind of gets backed up, and they're going to get bloating and all sorts of issues. When you start doing fasting, you may find that you're going to feel really good, and then when you eat, you feel like, oh, I feel kind of nauseous. I don't feel very good. What that means is you're in some hardcore fat burning, and your body is doing great, and then you switch it over to not being in keto anymore because you eat. So in that case, you may want to just fast longer until your body really is saying, okay, I want some food. And there's all sorts of magical things that happen to your genes and to your system when you don't eat so frequently.
All right, well, here's our pediatric segment for today. Jody on Facebook wants to know how to treat her 2-year-old's soft tumor pressing on his lungs, and I pray that it's not malignant. I assume that that's a benign tumor.
Yes, because I definitely give advice on cancer on this channel, and I can't.
Right.
But here's some things that you can do. Tumors are fed through the blood supply. It's called angiogenesis. And so what you could do is consume or have your child consume foods that are anti-angiogenesis, which are the cruciferous vegetables. Bring the sugars way down. Make sure there's no dairy, because dairy is very anabolic. It makes things grow. Cruciferous would be a good thing. And start to give your child various things that have natural anti-cancer properties, like green tea, like alpha-lipoic acid, like garlic. And there's many, many others, and they're usually in the plant area, in the herb area. And I just think that's quite fascinating. There's just so many different plants that have these anti-cancer properties, simply because anything with groups of cells can develop cancer. Animals, plants, we can all get cancer. And so I'm going to be doing a video on the history of cancer, and it's quite fascinating, and some interesting new things about that. But in the meantime,
how about some answers?
Those recommendations.
All right, that's very good. And Terry, of course, said intermittent fasting, which is always a great thing.
That's probably going to be the most important thing, but for a child, it's going to be hard, right?
Oh, good. See,
so you're going to have to just probably not do any snacking and do the best you can, but it's definitely situation.
Yeah, don't listen to Terry. But let's listen to the audience, and they've got some answers for what causes split nails. 35% say trace minerals, 25% vitamin B3, 25% vitamin A, and it rounds up 15% say vitamin, is that E, Terry? Vitamin E.
Okay, and the answer is calcium. Calcium deficiency is the most common reason for this, because without calcium, the nails get soft, they peel, they split, you get the ridges. Now, there are other reasons, but this is the most common one. It's calcium, it's low calcium. So you can do a little bit of, high quality cheese, or calcium lactate would be fine. But don't do the calcium carbonate. Calcium tends to make things strong in the body, and there's people that will just bang their nail on something, it just kind of breaks off. They need more calcium. Okay,
Interesting.
Steve?
Absolutely. That's great. Great advice.
All right, let's go to Jean from North Carolina.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I didn't know if you could hear me or not.
Perfectly.
I would like some recommendations on a vitamin with no iron that I could take. I'm 70. I have a lot of stomach problems, bloating. I've had SIBO, and I don't have a gallbladder, but I want to start taking a good vitamin of some sort.
Yeah, you mean, do you have a condition where you have too much iron, or you just don't want to have a vitamin with all
Well,
that?
because I'm 70, I always thought that it wasn't good to take iron.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, you are correct, because our bodies have a really hard time getting rid of iron, but of course, if a woman is menstruating, that's a whole different story. But for you, I think if you wanted probably the best multi-everything, and I personally, I don't have a multi-everything per se, but there is one thing that I use as my multi, and it's the Keto Energy, because it has all the vitamins in it from a food base. It's a real high quality food base, vitamins, and then also it has in there 3 different sources of natural B1 that is very, very common and very beneficial for a lot of people. So that's probably what I would recommend. Of course, again, I'm not biased, but that's my sarcasm. But yeah, some of these name brand vitamins that are loaded with iron in the wrong source. So people take them, they don't realize it, and then they start getting liver issues, liver inflammation. So I don't recommend taking any name brand vitamins that are synthetic based, in that you have calcium carbonate and iron, like shavings of iron in there. It's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, but it's so fun to pee yellow, for goodness sakes. It makes me feel powerful or something, and I feel like I'm really vitamized.
Steve, I did this video. I'll have to find it. They enrich flour products with iron. And so I took a magnet, and I took a cereal, common cereal that's enriched with iron, and I took a magnet, and you'll see it just pulled that cereal right up into the magnet because of the iron. So that's what you're getting. Unbelievable.
All right, keep your eyes out, audience. All right, by the way, we're going to go with the next quiz. We're on schedule. And audience, thank you, as always, so much for participating so vigorously. And the next question is, what food contains the most pesticides of all? Not just Roundup, but just everything. Which one is it?
Yeah. Okay, here's the next question. See if you guys can guess what specific item has the most of anything. And I think I know what you're going to say, but this may surprise you. All right, let's. I'm going to go to Guyleen from New Jersey.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Okay, real basic question. I've been doing keto for about a month now, and I have definitely noticed increased energy in my brain, feeble as it is, seems to be doing a little better.
Good.
Anyway, I lost close to 10 pounds, and now for the last week or two, absolutely nothing. I'm under 20 grams of carbs a day. My overall calorie count I've been keeping to anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400, and I'm very active.
And how long
So-
have you
and then
how
the
long you
other
been doing this
thing-
for?
How long I've been doing keto?
Yeah.
A little over a month.
Okay.
And plus, I get lightheaded at night, and I don't know, and I do drink a lot of water. So those
Okay.
were two questions, actually.
Okay, good. How many meals a day do you have?
2 or 3.
Okay. And are you doing any type of snacks in between there?
Not really. I'll snack at night. I figured in my 1 glass of wine and some cheese.
Got it. I think this is going to be a real easy fix for you to really start kicking it up.
Okay.
To get fully fat adapted, okay? To get fully and fat adapted, it takes 4 weeks. 4 weeks to sometimes 12 weeks, depending on what you're doing. Unfortunately, the wine is going to severely block your ability to stay in ketosis. Unfortunately, the snacking at night will also do it. If you really want to see some change, you want to go to maybe 2 meals and then even to 1 meal, because we want to give your body at least 18 to 20 to even more hours every single day to be completely in ketosis so you can start tapping into the fat. I think you did lose some fat, but I think you lost a lot of water weight, and now comes the fat that you need to lose. And it's a common mistake that people do is the snacking, because you're just going to raise insulin, and of course the wine. Maybe you do wine like once on a weekend, but just realize that 1 glass of wine could set you back 48 to even 72 hours. So imagine doing that every day, right? It's going to interfere with your results, and then you're going to go, oh, that didn't work, but it can work. Instead, get some kombucha tea, which gives a similar effect, relaxation. It's kind of a similar texture to champagne, at least, and give that a shot.
All right, Doc, I want to go to YouTube real quick. I'm such a child because genitalia is mentioned in here. I just had to take the question. But it's a serious one. Chris wants to know if genital pain can be referred from a herniated disc or some pinched nerve. Now, I've had L4, L5 rupture, and I can just say that that's not what manifested in my case. But poor Chris is hurt.
Yeah, it can. And it also can come from a kidney stone or some type of problem with that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That could be one cause.
All right, and then let's get to our answer for our questions. Let's see. So the question, of course, was what food contains the most pesticides overall? And 15% said corn, 15% said peanuts, 30% strawberries, 10 avocado, 10 coffee, 10 pecans, and then finally rounding up with 10% say apple. So we're all over the chart on that one.
The answer is raisins.
Wow.
Raisins.
Well, what do they spray on them?
A lot of pesticides. I mean, it just smokes anything else. Of course, you know, it's a concentrated grape, but so, hey, the good news is keto. It's not on the keto plan, so you don't have to worry about it, right?
Yep. Terry, throw out the raisins.
You know, it's really, you know, if you look at the studies on pesticides and things causing cancer, I will say you're going to have like a chronic exposure to it over a long period of time to really start developing cancer. But your body has the ability to deal with these chemicals if you're not overdoing it with it, exposing it. And so fasting takes your body to the next level as far as your ability to detox. It starts to strengthen the liver, those phase 1, phase 2 enzymes that help you break down these chemicals. And then also when you consume certain foods, cruciferous as well, that will stimulate these enzymes to break down more pesticides. So,
well, that's interesting. Here's a hopeful question. This is our final one, and it's asked, what food is least sprayed with pesticides? So that'll be a cheery one to contemplate, Doc. And then why don't we go to Lee in Los Angeles, California?
Okay, Lee, you're on. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Big fan. Okay, great. I wanted to ask about foods that are high in FODMAPs So FODMAPs are a collection of short chain carbs that are not absorbed properly in the gut. I don't know if you've heard of this collection of foods.
Yes.
Fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols.
Yeah.
So my journey to health and healthy keto kind of started when I identified that I'm sensitive, most likely, to foods high in FODMAPs, and within 24 to 48 hours of eliminating those types of foods, my gut, which had been bloated and gassy for years, just got better right away.
Wow.
Anyway, one of the foods on this list, unfortunately, there's a lot of great foods on the list, so you really need to find out which ones affect you, are like onion and garlic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're some of the biggest offenders. And that makes me sad because garlic is so good for you. So and I did go to the health food store, and I found some garlic supplements, or supplements that have that the key ingredient in garlic that makes it so good. But I always, in the back of my mind, think that it might not be the same as eating raw, fresh garlic. But unfortunately, I'm sensitive to these high FODMAP foods, and garlic is one of them. I wanted to know if you thought going the garlic supplement route is okay, or chives. Chives are actually not on the list of high FODMAP foods, so I use chives a lot to substitute for that kind of savory flavor. That was my general question.
Okay, so this is one of those things that it's like a 50-50 shot, because some people can do it and no problem at all. I think the way when they dehydrate it or freeze dry it, somehow it helps your digestion and it doesn't bother you as much, and it's very small amounts. That being said, you're going to have to test it out. It might be okay, it might not. I think it probably is going to be okay. It's worth a shot to try it out. The other option would be to take oregano oil, which has similar properties to garlic. Of course, it doesn't compete with garlic. Garlic is hands down like the most potent anti-everything. I mean, it's so awesome. I'm going to release another video on it shortly, but like if you have any even weird symptoms or anything, garlic is the answer. Garlic actually can help your endurance, like if you exercise. It can, your oxygen carrying capacity, does massive things to the heart on a good things, and as well as its antiviral, bacterial, parasites. So for those of you that are listening that are not sensitive to garlic, start putting it in your food as much as possible. But Lee, I would give it a shot. I really don't know for sure. You're gonna have to test the waters on that one. But good question.
Hey Lee, by the way, I'm gonna put you on the spot. This is your buddy Steve. What do you think is the vegetable, or the vegetable that's least sprayed with the pesticide? The world is listening. You got any ideas?
That is least?
Yes. What has the least amount of pesticides applied to it? Your answer, please.
Bananas, because
Okay.
they're so thick-skinned, they don't need it. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, terrific.
Good,
terrific stab.
good
at
guess.
Thank you, Lee. Yes.
Lee, stay tuned. I'll let you know. Okay, what did you find, Steve?
Okay, so survey says basil, mint, herbs. And is that potato, buddy? And then I'm sorry, Lee, no bananas, but you might be right.
The answer is avocados.
Wow, how come?
I don't think they need to spray them.
Yeah, interesting.
So they don't apparently have the problems that other things have. So that's the one. Now I'm going to be doing a video on the other ones that are in that list that are pretty low on the list, and I'll talk about the ones that are very high in the list too, so you can kind of differentiate. But the point is that if you do organic, you're going to be in better shape. But it is expensive, so then you're going to have to grow a garden, Steve. But that takes time. Well, then you're going to have to, I don't know.
Okay, well, that's good. But here's what I want to remind you, because I keep stepping on you at the end of the show. Let's go over the upcoming videos real quick, why don't we, that are coming up for the audience before we end. And they are as follows. What does an electrolyte do? Head lice, best remedy, a home remedy. Overeating, it's not just low willpower. That's hopeful. Start adding garlic to your meals. And finally, our konjac, did I say that right, Doc? Noodles, keto-friendly. And that's what you're going to all be able to see on drberg.com coming up shortly.
I have another interesting video that I'm going to release on how to relax. Steve, have you ever been told that you need to learn how to relax?
Yeah, I'm pretty ADHD and all that, and I have all sorts of little weird tics and so on. I'm a mess.
Hey, listen, it's a great technique. I'm going to walk people through it, and we're going to go through every part of your body and just relax it. But it's interesting how many people are just going through life just holding. They're one big ball of stress. They're just like, they're tense. And probably the number one muscle that keeps things locked up is your jaw muscle. So if you're tightening with the jaw, grinding your teeth, boy, the upper muscles on the neck and the traps are very, very tight. So you just want to keep letting those muscles go, relax them, breathe slowly, and try to, when you're driving, consciously relax. If you have pain in your back, relax your lower back. During stress, relax your body. And I'm going to put you through this exercise, so stay tuned for that one.
Okay.
Amy, you are next from Ontario.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call. Yes, my question is because I had hypothyroid symptom for 15 years.
Okay.
And right now I'm medication-free for 6 years after adding broccoli sprout into my smoothie every day. So I practice this every single day. Lately, I have been practicing low-carb diet for 6 months and plus intermittent fasting 18-6. I found the blood test, the value went up for these 3 kinds of cholesterol, higher than previous test 2 years ago. Every single item is higher double. Like my cholesterol total is 300 and my LDL from 94 to 210, something like this. But I don't worry about this because I watched your video, so I knew a little bit relationship, and I knew I consume too much fat, so I probably will reduce a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And Amy, if you would cut your computer down in the background, we'd love to be able to hear you. So if you just cut that volume off, Dr. Berg will give you his thoughts.
Okay, sorry. But let me worry most is my TSH value, because I can see from TSH value went down from 135 to 0.8, and also my T3 went down to lowest H, because I couldn't find much information about the relationship between low-carb diet and the hyperthyroidism from that video. So my question is, should I worry I will get hyper again based on practicing this diet?
Oh, okay. So you said, are you worried you're going to get a hyperthyroid by doing this diet? Is that what you said?
Yes, hyper, not hypo.
Okay, hypo, right. That makes more sense. Here's the thing. It's highly unlikely that you're going to become hypo, but the fact that the cholesterol is a little bit higher and you have some abnormal testing results with the thyroid, realize that your thyroid is going to be compensating, but to help that thyroid convert from T4 to T3, there's 2 things that are very, very essential. A very healthy liver. So you may want to take purified bile salts and some choline to support the liver, which will then convert the thyroid from T4 to T3, the active form. Is high cholesterol. So we can actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because the liver can then be cleared out, and then you can actually help conversion and improve the thyroid. The other thing is that don't forget about selenium. Selenium is the key trace mineral that helps you convert from T4 to T3. Selenium is also the precursor for glutathione, which is And the liver, that key master antioxidant for the heart, for so many other issues. So selenium is, I think, kind of the forgotten trace mineral. And maybe even some sea kelp to get your iodine as well, because that way you get the selenium and the iodine. All
okay,
right.
And finally for this Friday, our final caller is Sandra from Cedar Park, Texas, and then we'll call it a wrap.
Sandra, hi.
Hi. Good morning from Texas.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was diagnosed actually over 30 years ago with Sjogren's syndrome. Since that time, I've had dental implants, problems getting a good eye exam, dry nasal passages, and I'm about to cough on you, so sorry about that. Allergies are bad here. So I was calling to ask you if you can recommend supplements or dietary changes to help promote, I guess, saliva.
Yeah.
I don't take any medication. Honestly, I stopped taking them because they don't help. Why take it if it's not helping?
Got it. Okay, so here's the big tip on that. It's autoimmune, so that means it's your glands that are releasing oil or sweat, whatever, are being attacked, and then what happens is that affects the saliva and different fluids. So I think the most important thing is to reduce the inflammation, and that you can do that through 2 ways. One is vitamin D. I would take about 30,000 IUs of vitamin D every single day. That is going to help the immune system and reduce inflammation at the same time. And then get on the healthy keto that I recommend with intermittent fasting, because both of those actions, especially the fasting and periodic prolonged fasting, so every so often you're doing a real long fast, you're going to actually build a new immune system, and then guess what's going to happen to this autoimmune? It's going to improve. So those are some very important things to pay attention to. On that note, thanks so much for calling in and being here. I appreciate that. Stay tuned for some very interesting videos coming up this next week. All right, see you guys next week.